Hey everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at 3.1.2 Major Occupancy and Fire Separation in the Building Code. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will move on as we move on to the other slide. Now, occupancy. What is the definition of an occupancy? In the Ontario Building Code you will read, occupancy means the use or intent use of a building or part of a building for shelter or support for persons, animal, or property. But what are we focused upon when we look at occupancy? So occupancy refers to how a building or space is used. It is critical because different types of building comes with various level of risk in the event of a fire. Now, for example, a residential building, a school, and a factory all have different risk levels. This is because of the use and the material found in these spaces. For example, if you look at a warehouse, you see boxes, woods, which make the pallets, and plastics. This is a very risky space when compared to an office. An office made up of acoustic tiles, plastic cloths for finishes, and even foam as partitions used for making cubicles. This is much more riskier than a home. We'll get down a bit more into the details so you will understand. Now, we talked about occupancy just now, but what about major occupancy? What does major occupancy means? In the architectural world, you will hear the term major occupancy. Now, major occupancy means the principal occupancy of which a building or part of a building is used or intended to be used. For example of such spaces are like residential apartments, offices, schools, house, or hospitals. So as we're focusing on part 9, which are small buildings or homes, this is a major occupancy. A house is a major occupancy. Now, major occupancy can also be subdivided into different occupancies. For example, in an office building, the major occupancy is the office space, but it might also include a small break room or meeting area. So let's just look at this little image. Imagine this is an office building, but in this small unit, if you can see my red dot, we have a store. This, even though the building is considered as a major occupancy, which is office building, we can still have another major occupancy or another occupancy within this building. Sometimes you might go within a mall and see that there are different sets of stores. So it could be an office in a mall, or it could be a restaurant in a mall. And the list goes on. Now, in the Ontario Building Code, if you turn to table 3.1.2.1, you will see major occupancy classification. Now, because major occupancies or these occupancies are at risk of a fire, they're all divided into different groups. So each major occupancy or occupancy are divided into different groups. And if you can see, these groups are group A, B, C, D, E, and F. So these are the groups of major occupancies. Under each group, there are divisions. So division 1, 2, and 3, 4. Let's say group B, we have division 1, 2, 3. Group C, you don't have any division, and so the rest goes on. Now, question is, why are we dividing buildings into different groups, to different division? Again, it's all based on the risk of fire. Now let's simplify that table so you can picture what I was talking about a second ago. Now, group A division 1, what are some of these major occupancy or buildings that are associated with this table? So we can look at a motion picture theaters or up houses. These are all fall under division group A division 1. What are some buildings out there that can fall under group A division 2? Are galleries, courtrooms, dance halls, libraries, and churches, maybe places of worship. The same thing goes as group A division 3, A division 4. The list goes on. Again, depending on the risk of the fire, that's how these buildings fall under each categories. Now, for this module, as mentioned, we're going to be looking at houses. Where can you find houses under which group? And that's group C. House is found under group C occupancy. If we want to talk about maybe an office space, where do you think you would find an office space? Office space are found under group D occupancy. If we're going to talk about a department store, found under group E occupancy, and so the list goes on. So by just understanding how this table works, we're going to move into something called fire separation. Each occupancy have a fire rating or should be divided from another occupancy by a fire rating. Now this is very important. The reason why each occupancy or each major occupancy carries a different fire rating or separation rating is because, number one, if we look at this little image over here as an apartment space, you can see if a fire is happening in this room, you want to give every occupancy in this building enough time to escape, number one. So that's fall under life safety. Now you also want to give the firefighter time to get on site, set up their horses, and try to stop that fire. Again, that is emergency response efficiency. Now another thing too, if the fire happens in this room, you don't want the fire spread within the whole building in just 2 minutes. You want to give that fire enough time to stay in that room until everybody escapes, until the fire truck is on site, and the list goes on from there. Basically, is a form of protection of your property. Now let's move in to the major occupancy fire separation table. In my last video, you've seen this table, and I've explained it a little bit to you, but I just want to give you the main idea about this table. Because we are focused on group C, we're going to stay in group C occupancy, which is house. So if you have a group C occupancy, which is a home, and a group D occupancy, and let's say it's an office building, you require something called 1 hour. How did I just read that table? As you can see, major occupancy fire separation. As mentioned earlier, these are the major occupancy. Now, as this goes down, each column, each row is adjoining major occupancy. So if you have a group C major occupancy and a group D major occupancy, the fire separation between those two occupancies is 1 hour. Now let's see if we have a group C occupancy and maybe a group F1 occupancy. You require 2 hours. You don't require a fire separation for a group C and a group F1. But now let's look at F3 or F2. These are much more riskier buildings. You need a 2 hour fire separation and a 1 hour. You might ask the question, how or why am I saying it's hours? In the table, can you see H with 1? It means fire separation are mostly focused upon hours or minutes, not seconds. Now, in this image, you can see 2 rooms. There's this person working in their office, for example, at home office. But left on the pot in the stove, however, there's a fire. First of all, there's going to be smoke. As you can read, this wall is a fire rated wall. Also, the vents, they are fire separated, meaning they have stoppers to prevent any smoke from entering into this room, the office room, from the kitchen to the room. Again, the doors, fire resistance door. That's 1. So, with the fire occurring in this room, you want to give the occupancy enough time, or the occupant enough time to escape from the room, and also to maintain the fire in the room so that firefighter can get on site in order to stop the fire. In this building, you will see red lines. Red lines mean fire separations are required. There are a few places that are missing, but for this module, just focused on where the red lines are. So group D and a group C occupancy requires a fire separation rating. A group E and a group D occupancy requires a fire separation rating. Group E and a group A division 1 also requires a fire separation. Group C and group C sometimes does require fire separation, but sometimes it can be ignored based on terms and conditions. The answer based on fire separation, or when we refer to table 3.1.3.1, this is our determined answers. So the fire separation that requires group C and group C, 0 hours, a group D and a group C, 1 hour, group A division 1 and a group D, 2 hours, and the list goes on from there. Now, again, we're focused on homes. What is the fire separation between 2 dwelling units? As you can see, you have a unit over here, building number 1, and another building number 2. However, there is a fire separation between this, and you can see these on townhouses or semi-detached homes. The answer to that question is 45 minutes or an hour, depends on the engineer's good practices. To refer to the answer to that question, I've looked at table 9.10.8.1, where fire resistance rating to structural member and assemblies. Residential group C, maximum building height, stories is 3, and fire resistance rating for building elements, we're looking at floor and walls would be 45 minutes, mezzanine floor 45 minutes, but roof 0. So this is the answer to that question. Our next module, we will start part 9 of the interior building code, so please stay tuned. Thank you for watching and hope to see you on the next module.